This is episode 3 of Gilmore Girls recap, react, review, rewatch, reenact. All the re's, right? Okay. Gilmore Girls, season 1, episode 3, Kill Me Now. That's the title of this episode, which, how appropriate. We're starting off, we're at Friday night dinner, and Emily says that the name of their cook, her name is Mira. And Lorelai says, I thought her name was Heidi. Emily's like, no, we had to let Heidi go because she had trouble closing things, like the liquor bottle. She says, then there was Trina, Sophia. Richard says, I liked Sophia. Emily says, no, you didn't. Sophia sang. And Richard's like, oh, right, horrible woman. Emily says, after Sophia, there was Anton. Richard says, that's who I liked. I liked Anton. Yep, that's the one. Lorelai says, how do you mix up Sophia and Anton? And Richard says, what do you mean? Lorelai says, well, one's a man and one's a woman. Richard says, your point? Lorelai says, that one's a man and one's a woman. Now, Lorelai, get your head on straight, honey. It is possible. Richard is like, you're an idiot. Like, it's completely plausible. It's very, very close-minded of Lorelai to not understand how a man and a woman could be confused. So we get the opening credits. Gilmore Girls is on Netflix as of this moment, and it's when you're watching a show, right, as the theme song comes on, you have the option to skip the intro. With Gilmore Girls, my inclination is to hit skip the intro because that's what I normally do when I'm watching shows. I go to click it for Gilmore Girls and I'm like, no. Every single time I want to hear it, like I get lost in the sauce, if you will. Such a great song. So after the credits, we're still at Friday night dinner. Emily asks Lorelai, she says, how are things at your charming little inn? Lorelai makes a joke about things being big and small. So Rory chimes in, actually answering Emily's question, and says, actually there's a huge wedding at the inn this week, the big wedding that mom has. Emily says, is that right? Lorelai's like, yeah, actually there's people coming in from all over the country. And Emily says, how nice. Rory, how's school? Lorelai says, okay, done with me now. She's mad. And Emily says, I'm sorry, was there more? And Emily is so right for this. Like, Lorelai, you had your chance. Emily asked you how things were going. You didn't tell her. You wanted to make a joke. And then now when you finally want to talk about it, you're mad she's ready. She wants to talk to a serious person. And also, was there more? What more could there be? Lorelai was rightfully put in her place in this moment. So Emily says to Rory, how's school? Rory tells the table that, she has to pick a sport for school. She has to pick a team sport to be on. And they're like, well, what are your options? Rory's like, swimming, tennis, basketball, softball, golf. Emily says, golf? Oh, golf? Richard plays golf. He goes to the club every week. He can teach you. Richard is like, Emily, it's not something you can teach in one afternoon. Lorelai's like, you know what, it's fine. Rory can pick another sport. It doesn't have to be golf. Emily's like, why should she pick another sport? Richard knows golf and she could use your old golf clubs. They're upstairs collecting dust with the rest of your potential. Lorelai says, let's go in the other room. Mom, I need to talk to you. Let's go in the other room. Lorelai's like, please don't do this. And Emily's like, what? Do what? And she's like, you're forcing them to do golf together. And she's like, I'm not forcing anybody. And Lorelai's like, it's forced. Look it up. Emily's like, I'm not. And Lorelai is like, she doesn't want to go and he doesn't want to take her. Like, let it go. Emily's like, oh, you're afraid that Rory will have a good time at the club. Lorelai says, that's crazy. Emily says, I agree. So let her go. Lorelai says, she won't have fun. Emily says, why don't we let Rory decide? And I'm like, finally someone's like, wait a minute, we're talking about what Rory's gonna do and what she is gonna do. What if we asked Rory about it? So Lorelai says, she's too nice of a girl to tell you that she doesn't want to go and that she won't have a good time. Emily says, well, I'm sure you could teach her to get over that. Lorelai says, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, okay? But this is not about you. This is really interesting that Lorelai says this. Lorelai, no sheesh, it isn't about Emily. Emily knows this. I thought this was very clear. We're having a conversation about Rory. But regardless, Emily says, of course it is. If Rory ends up having a good time, I win. Emily says, let me get this straight. There's no way that Rory could possibly have a good time on the weekend at the club with her father. And you know your daughter so well that you don't even have to ask her because she would be miserable and you know it. That sounds a little controlling, doesn't it? Interesting. You being the one who's controlling. According to you, I was the only one in the family with that gift. Emily is on her throne and she's spitting nothing but facts. Lorelai has no choice. She says, you win. This was such a satisfying scene. This was so satisfying to see Emily being such a queen. She's such a mastermind. She's just so smart. She just knows exactly what to say to get Lorelai all riled up. I love how she twists Lorelai's words against her. I love to see it. So they leave dinner and Lorelai says to Rory, I'm sorry, I tried to stop it. Rory says, that's fine, maybe I'll have fun, maybe you can come with me. Lorelai says, is there a crazy team? Because I think they'd make you the captain. So now we're at the Independence Inn and we're getting ready for the big wedding and Lorelai's showing these two girls and their mom. They're twin girlies. It's their wedding, they're gonna get married. And they start fighting. One of them's like, I wanted pink flowers. The other one's like, I wanted blue flowers. And the mom's like, well, I got purple to shut you both up, okay? If you wanted to pick the flowers, you should pay for the wedding. So she says to her two daughters, she says, go away. My Advil is wearing off. This is great to see. Great to see someone just saying exactly how it is. They go into the inn and Lorelai says to Michelle, she says, any problems? He says, with the wedding or with my life? So Lorelai's like, did Rory call? Because Rory's golfing. While Lorelai's telling Michelle about the golf, Michelle says, to me, you are the teacher from the Charlie Brown cartoon. I mean, like, so accurate. So then who comes in to the inn but the boys who are going to marry the girls? The two twin girlies are getting married to two twin boyies. Back at the Gilmore's house, Richard is getting ready to go golfing and he's all flustered because it's 8. So he's like, this is absurd. And Emily's like, it's your granddaughter. Like, just be nice, be a nice guy, have a nice time. Richard's like, she's a 16-year-old girl. She should be at the mall. And Emily is like, okay, I want you to show her all around the club and then I want you two to go to lunch. Richard says, oh no. He said, no one said anything about lunch. I will teach her to golf, but lunch? Out of the question. Emily's like, well, you're gonna eat, right? So you'll eat together. Like, she's got an answer for everything, this woman. So Rory shows up late. It's 8:30 and Richard says, we must remember to get her a watch because they can do that because they're rich. Rory's like, I'm sorry I'm late. Emily says, nonsense, you're right on time. And Rory's like, I didn't know what to wear. Like, is this the right outfit? Do I look okay? And Emily says, you know, there is something missing. She goes to this bag, pulls out a hat that is just so special. She gives it to Rory, tells her to put it on. She puts it on, it's striped, it's multicolored, it's everything. Emily says, oh, great, now you look just like Tiger Woods. And she does. For a minute there, I was like, wait a minute, is that Rory Gilmore or is that Tiger Woods? I could not tell the difference. Off they go to golf. Now we're at the club. Richard and Rory are making chit chat. Rory's like, how do you get a membership at one of these things? And Richard's like, oh, it's a very, very intense screening process, tougher than the FBI. Then they get down to where they're supposed to tee off. And Richard says to Rory, you know, what do you know about golf? Rory says that it's a good walk spoiled. Rory, I mean, LOL, but not the time. So Richard's like, and he grabs the driver and he's telling her all about, it's all in the hips. It's all in the hips, right? So she gets ready to make her first shot. She flops. She flops major, digs up a bunch of grass and dirt, the complete opposite of what you're supposed to do. So he's like, it's okay, we'll try again. She tries again. If you can believe it, she flops harder than the first time. So we're back at the Independence Inn and Jackson's got blueberries for Suki. Suki's like, I don't want blueberries, I want strawberries. I asked for strawberries, I gotta make strawberry shortcake for this wedding. And he's like, well, why don't you use the blueberries? And she's like, use the blueberries for what? It's like, make blueberry shortcake. And the twin girlies, they're fighting, okay? And they're talking about super salad and the mom wants out, okay? The mom goes over to Lorelai and says they've been at this for hours. They can't decide soup or salad. Lorelai says, well, what if we gave the guests a choice, soup or salad? And the mom says, I never thought about that. That's a good idea. So problem solved in a matter of seconds. My thing is like, aren't weddings planned like months in advance? Like, don't the guests say what the food is gonna be? Like, why is this being discussed like a day before the wedding? They're looking at the twins, Lorelai, Michelle, and s1e3, girl twins and the boy twins, and they're just kind of trying to wrap their mind around the thing. And it is so obvious that these people do not have twins. Like, these are so singular humans. Like, tell me you don't have a twin without telling me you don't have a twin, right? Not to like brag or anything, but I kind of know a thing or two about that because I'm a twin. Speaking from a twin perspective, it is so blatantly obvious when someone isn't a twin. Twins know, non-twins don't. So anyways, they're just flabbergasted over the whole thing. They can't understand that twins are marrying twins. And they are identical twins, okay? Everybody looks the same. And s1e3's like, what if this one sleeps with that one and this one sleeps with, is that cheating? Because they all look the same? It's a silly question, and it's very non-twin. We're back at the club. Rory hit the ball. Richard says it was impressive, and she's like, it landed in the water. And he was like, well, the way it splashed was impressive. The tides are changing. The tunes have shifted, okay? It seems like they might be bonding and liking each other in this moment. It feels good. It feels right. So then Rory starts making chit chat with Grandpa, and she's like, so what do you even do, Grandpa? And he's like, I'm the executive vice president of the German Driscoll Insurance Company Corporation. Rory's like, and what does that mean? And Richard's like, it's so crazy. The details would bore you to tears, darling. And Rory's like, oh, okay. Okay. And Richard feels bad. He can tell that Rory actually was interested. So he's like, all right, fine, I'll tell you. I'm like a big deal and I run the international office. And Rory's like, oh, does that mean you travel? And he's like, I sure do. Travel all over the world. And she's like, oh, I want to travel. And he's like, you know, your mom, she didn't travel much. And Rory's like, yeah, I know. She tells me all the time. And we made a plan that once I graduate high school, we're gonna go backpacking across Europe and we're gonna go to Fez. And Richard's like, oh, I think it's so important for young girls to travel. I will make sure of it that you have that trip. Then some woman rolls up in her golf cart and her dog, and she says, hi, Richard. Richard's like, hey. And she rolls away, and Richard turns to Rory and says, the most odious woman alive. What does that mean? No idea. I'm like, is she odorous? Does she smell? But she's the most odorous woman alive. At the Independence Inn, we're hearing drills and screws and hammers and whatnot. Like, basically it sounds like they're building a building for this wedding. So then we see Kirk, and he rolls up. He's got swans, 2 swans in cages. And he's like, all right, where do you want these things to go? Lorelai says, this is 20 swans. And Kirk says, yeah, sure, why not? And I love this. He's like, yeah, these 2 swans are 20. Michelle says to Lorelai, he says, you squealed? And Lorelai's like, deal with these swans. And he's like, I can't. He's like, swans, give me PTSD because when I was a boy, a band of swans attacked me in the Luxembourg Gardens. One of the swans squawked. Michelle nearly had a heart attack. Then who comes up but Drella, Mrs. Ungermeyer? Drella comes up with the harp. And now they gotta figure out who's gonna deal with whom. Michelle, he decides that he's gonna show Drella where to go. So he's walking away. And what does Drella say? She says, can't stand the talk, love to watch the walk. Looking at Michelle. His butt. I'm sorry. Are we supposed to be led to believe that there's a sexual attraction between Drella and Michelle? No, I've never seen less chemistry between 2 people. Okay, so then they're back at the club and they're basically like, they're gonna go to the steam rooms and meet back. Richard is in the hot box and, you know, all these half-naked old men, it's a sight to see. The old men there are like, oh, Richard, tell us about the girl you were with. They're being all creepy. They're giving pedo. They want to know all about this 16-year-old girl that Richard was with. And Richard's like, that's my granddaughter. Men are going off about how they hate their granddaughters. One of them says that his granddaughter looks like she fell off the back of a potato truck. Richard is over there. He won't say a bad thing about Rory. He is so happy. He's reading his newspaper and he's just thinking to himself, Rory really is special, isn't she? Cut to Rory in the steam room. Okay, now she's sitting there. She's the youngest girl in the club. She's eavesdropping on these two women's conversation, Nanette and Peg. One of them says she took the house. The other one says she deserved it, putting up with that tramp all these years. The other one says, you know, last Christmas he bought them this same bracelet. The other one says she should have shot him like his first wife did. And the other one says, oh, I love Janie. Is she out yet? I mean, get these women in the cast. So then that woman that they saw with the pup comes in. She's talking to Nanette and Peg, and the girlies are like, oh yeah, we should all get together. That woman goes away, and then Nanette and Peg say to each other, the most odious woman alive. Rory is like, oh my God, that's what my grandpa said. So cut to the club. Richard and Rory are at a table because they're gonna have lunch. Rory is telling Richard all the gossip. She's telling him everything she heard in that steam room. So she's like, she caught him in the house with the tennis pro, not the writing instructor. Richard's like, oh my God, these people, they're so nefarious. Rory's like, can you handle more? And he's like, please tell me more. And she's like, Mr. Neville likes all things frilly. And he's like, oh God, he's my broker. So they're really getting on well. The other old men come up and they're like, hey, Rory, can we join you? Reluctantly, Rory is like, yeah, fine. Rory's not really talking to the guys because Richard can't help himself. He's like, Rory has a 4.0 at Chilton. Rory's gonna go to Fez someday. Rory is the most magnificent granddaughter in the world. And it's just, honestly, it fills my heart. So now we're at the diner and Rory's got her cute hat and Luke comes up serving her coffee and he's like, what's with the hat? Rory is like, I went golfing today. Luke says, did you know that the golf course is an environmental blight because of the chemical they use to keep the grass green? Rory says, actually, I did know that. Lorelai comes in. She's like, oh, to me, the wedding is crazy. We had swans, we had harps, we had tulle, we had the whole nine. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then she looks at Rory and she's like, what's with the hat? And Rory's like, well, Grandma gave it to me. Lorelai says, well, that wasn't very nice, implying that she thinks the hat is ugly AF. Rory doesn't want to take it off, but she feels bad. And she's like, Lorelai's like, I brought you a piece of cake. Like, how bad was it? And Rory's like, it actually wasn't that bad. Lorelai's like, oh my God, you were just so sweet. You're the sweetest kid in the world. So then Lorelai says to Rory, did you order? Like, what did you order? And Rory is like, oh, I didn't order anything because I had a big lunch at the club. She says, it was quite good. And Lorelai says, quite? What's with the quite? And Rory's like, I say quite all the time. And Rory's like, yeah, like we talked about Fez. Lorelai's like, wow, sounds like you had a really good time. You know, Rory's all sad. She puts the hat back on and she's like, does it really look bad on me? So then Lorelai, you know, she feels bad, as she should. So she says, no, it looks kind of cute. Cut to Miss Patty. She's teaching the couples how to dance for the wedding. These kids can't get it right. So she pushes one of the brides aside and she's like, let me show you how it's done. And she's dancing with the guy. She's like, you know, in some countries, dancing this close could be considered cheating. Miss Patty has no shame, and I love her for that. The phone's ringing, Michelle picks it up, and he walks over to Lorelai because we're at the inn, and he's like, your father's calling. And Lorelai's like, my father's calling? And she, you know, is like, hey. She says, yes, it's Lorelai. Who else calls you dad? So he wants to talk to Rory. So Lorelai hands the phone to Rory, and Rory takes it, and she's like, oh, hi, Grandpa. Like, yay, I love talking to you. You're the best grandpa in the whole world. We're at the Gilmore's household, like the Lorelai and Rory's house in Stars Hollow. Lorelai and Rory, they're at a table sitting across from each other. Rory's looking in the mirror, just staring at it. Lorelai says, should I leave you two alone? She's funny. Rory's like, no, like I'm thinking I should get a haircut. Lorelai says, I think it looks quite good. Lorelai asks Rory, your grandpa called? Like, what did he want to talk to you about? And she's like, oh yeah, well, he just called to say he found this book that we were talking about. And she's like, oh, what book was it? Rory says, Mencken's Christophany. I don't know if I said that right, but that's basically what she says. Lorelai's like, oh, that's so weird. Like, he doesn't usually call. Actually, he never calls. And Rory's like, well, he knew I was looking for it. Then Babette, she runs up the deck and she's like, oh my god, like I need oil and a shoehorn because their cat Cinnamon is under the deck. Stuck under the deck. We gotta get Cinnamon out. Rory comes back, but Babette is already gone. So she's like, okay, I guess she doesn't need the oil. Lorelai says, I think I could get us out of Friday night dinner by like convincing Grandma and Grandpa that the golf counted as a dinner. And maybe we could go and see a movie together. Rory is like, well, I think it'll just make Grandma upset. And Grandpa has the book for me anyway, so I gotta pick it up. This is not the answer Lorelai wanted. So Lorelai, she starts to pick a fight. She says, that's my sweater that you have on. And Rory's like, so? She's like, well, I thought I told you if you were gonna borrow my sweaters to at least ask first. And Rory says, sorry. Lorelai says, it really isn't that hard to just like ask. And Rory's like, okay, relax, calm down. Lorelai says, it's just that that's my favorite sweater. Rory says, no, it's not. Lorelai says, well, it's just that now it's gonna be all stretched out like everything else that you borrow. Rory's like, what are you talking about? Like, your boobs are bigger than mine. And Lorelai says, your boobs are totally bigger than mine. Why don't we get out a measuring tape and measure? And Rory's like, oh my god, you're cracked. Lorelai says, you're bigger. Rory is clearly smaller than Lorelai. It's ridiculous. Do you remember that first episode when Lorelai said that they never fight? Was that Lorelai telling another lie? Cut to Lorelai talking to Sookie about the whole thing. And this is actually a really big scene for Lorelai because she's saying, I can't believe I said your boobs are bigger than mine. Like, I was going crazy. And Sookie's like, I understand. You like your sweaters. She says, it wasn't about the sweaters. It was about the golf. She says she had fun just like my mother said she would. And she's like, you know, she should have a good relationship with her grandparents. I want her to have that. Lorelai's saying all this. She's taking full accountability. Somebody write this down. Somebody put this in the history books because this is major. Then Sookie says, well, you know, you're jealous. You're jealous that they like Rory more than you do. Lorelai then she's like, I left that life as soon as I could. It never even occurred to me that Rory might want that. She says, it occurred to Emily though, and she is pissed. She hates that Emily was right. Sookie's had enough. She looks across the street and what does she see but fresh, juicy, red strawberries. So she makes a beeline for that. As she does so, when she doesn't look both ways, there's a biker coming her way. All she sees is strawberries. So the biker almost rams into her. The biker flips over and crashes on the street. Sookie doesn't know a thing. She goes and grabs the strawberry. She's so happy. Finally, I can make the strawberry shortcake. Who comes around the corner but Jackson? Jackson's not happy. He's seeing Sookie buying fruit from another supplier. But you know what? Just to interject here, he has no right to be. She asked for strawberries. He gave her blueberries. She's well on her right to go and get the strawberries for the strawberry shortcake. But Jackson's feelings are hurt. So he's like, I cannot even believe you. And Sookie's like, I'm sorry. Like, I just saw the strawberries and I had to grab them. And they're bickering like children, running after each other in the street. It's kind of cute that they're like fighting. They're obsessed with each other. Let's be real. Let's just be real. The chemistry is undeniable. Back at the inn, the wedding is underway. Mrs. Ungermeyer, Drella, is getting drunk and playing the harp. Miss Patty is tearing up the dance floor, breaking her back while she's breaking it down. The mom of the twinsies is elated. She runs over to Lorelai and she's like, guess what? The girls are moving out of state. They're going to Arizona. I'm so happy. She's like, I gotta go. Sister Sledge is on. I gotta go. We are family. I got all my sisters and me. Rory's at the wedding. She is managing the guest book. So Lorelai sees this. She's feeling bad. She goes down, she sits next to Rory and she's like, I'm so sorry. Like a crazy spirit took over and made me crazy. Like, I'm sorry. Rory is like, it happens. Lorelai is like, I'm glad you're bonding with your grandparents. I really am. Rory's like, no, you're not. Lorelai is like, no, I am. I totally didn't mean to cut you off. She is sorry. I am so proud of Lorelai. This is major for Lorelai. She's taking accountability. She's apologizing for her actions. She's recognizing she was in the wrong and she wants to make right. I don't know if the writers, maybe they kind of saw how crazy they were making Lorelai the past 2 episodes. She needed a redemption arc and she's getting it in this 3rd episode for sure. Then Rory says, "It makes you feel any better? I think I got a fungus from the steam room." And Lorelai says, "It does make me feel better." And so the girlies have made up. Rounding it all out, it's Friday again and we're at Friday night dinner. Rory and Lorelai are there and Lorelai has a big white box. So she's coming in with this big white box. Emily's like, "What's this? You brought me dessert." Lorelai's like, "Yes, it's the leftover blueberry shortcake from the wedding." Emily says, "You brought me used dessert?" And Lorelai says, "It's not used, it's left over." So then they go and sit down, they do their usual routine, and Emily is beyond. She cannot wait to talk to Lorelai about how much fun Rory and her grandpa had. She is like, "Lorelai, did you hear? Did you hear what a great time they had?" Oh, they had the bestest time. Lorelai is like, "Give me a glass of wine." Emily's like, "I think we should get Rory a membership to the club. What do you think?" Lorelai's like, "Yeah, if she wants one." Richard comes in. He's so happy. He's like, "Rory, not only did I find you that book, but I found a bunch of memoirs and some signatures." And Rory's like, "No way, really?" He's like, "Would you like to see it?" And she's like, "Yeah, of course, yay!" So they go. And then Emily's like, "I'd like to see that too." So she goes and joins them. Lorelai is sitting there alone on the couch with her wine. And yes, in this moment, I do feel bad for her. But that's where we end the episode. Lorelai alone on the couch. It says to me like Richard, Emily, and Rory are part of an upper echelon society. They are a part of that. Like they fit in so well. That was never Lorelai's thing. She's never gonna really fit in because that's not what she wants. That's not who she is. But it is who Rory is and it's who her grandparents are. She feels really left out and I feel bad. This was kind of a boring episode. Like I hate to say that because it's a good episode for Lorelai. It's an episode where Lorelai shows a lot of growth. I think moving on from these episodes, like it gets a lot better in my opinion. Just if there was any confusion, I want it to be clear that I love this show. That is the end of episode 3. If you would like an episode 4, or if you liked this episode, feel free to like and subscribe for episode 4. Thank you.